is that with the probability, you can never predict with 100% accuracy. 100% accuracy is never possible. So I'll tell one more story. Like, see for example, I'll remove this. If I ask somebody to toss coin, so you may get a head or you may get tail, right? You may get a tail. If head comes, I will say 1. If tail comes, I will say 0. So I mean, when you toss a coin, you get 1 or half. I mean, I will get 1 or half. I mean, a person is going to toss. I mean, I ask you to predict whether he will get head or tail, or he will get 1 or 0. 1 or 0. You are asked to predict. How can you predict? There are two kinds of things. Like there is something called deterministic system, and there are something called a statistical. These are all we talk about statistical. Suppose if you project a stone with a certain force, so there is a projectile. There is an equation of motion where it falls, and you can exactly predict. So this kind of predicting possibilities, such systems are called deterministic system, where the prediction is possible. But tossing a coin is not predictable. You cannot predict whether it is head or tail. You cannot predict, right? So what can you statistically predict? So you cannot, if you say you will get head, or and other times you get 1. So if it tail happens, you are 100% wrong. So if you ask a statistician to predict, he will predict it is 1 by 2. 1 by 2. If you ask a statistician what, or head or tail, or 1 or 0, if you ask a statistician to predict, he will say 1 by 2. But 1 by 2 will never happen, right? 1 by 2 will never happen. Either you get a 1 or get a 0. Then why statisticians are predicting 1 by 2? 1 by 2, because the error will be minimum. Either statisticians are always concerned about going wrong should be with the minimum probability. He is always wanted to minimize the error. Like, he predicted 1, and if it turns to be 0, what is the difference? The difference will be 1. So he will be, I mean, that much error will be there with his prediction. Or otherwise, if he predict it is 0, so and suppose if it happens as head, then the error will be 1. That is the point. Even if he predict it as 3 by 4, okay, 3 by 4, and if head comes, it is more close. It is more close to 1. But that is not sure. If there is equal chances that it will get head. Head means or 0. So if 0 comes, the error will be 3 by 4. If the head comes, the error is 1 by 4 only, right? So that is a problem. Suppose he predicted it as 1 by 4. He predicted it as 1 by 4. So if tail comes, it is more close to reality, more accurate. But that is not sure. It may happen head also. So, but if you predict 1 by 2, you are more safe. Whether it happens head, whether the tail happens, the error is 0.5 only, 1 by 2 only. The error won't be more than that. So you want to minimize. So a statistician is always concerned about minimizing the error. So you cannot never predict with the perfect accuracy with the stochastic system. With the deterministic system, you can predict, but stochastic system, you cannot predict. So that is why you say, statistically, if you predict 1 by 2, 1 by 2 will never happen, but the error will be the reality, what it happens next. And with what he predicted, the error will be minimum. That is why statisticians predict accordingly. Okay, then you can kind of compute the probability in two different ways. Suppose if you take as head, if you predict a head and tail, okay. What is the total number of chance when you toss a coin? It can either be head or tail. There are two chances are there. Out of the probability, there can be only one chance of heading head. So the probability of getting head is 1 by 2, and the probability of getting tail is also 1 by 2, because there is only one chance of getting tail. So 1 by 2, total number is 2. So that's how you get a probability. This is one way of getting probability. But in reality, in most of the data science practice, when you do in industry, you may not be finding probability in this way. There is another method of getting probability. Method of getting probability. Okay, so the second method is that you ask somebody to toss. The person tossed, he got a head, so I put 1. Next person, when predicted, when tossed, he got a tail, so 0 I put. Then 1 0 0 0 1 1 1, like that you get. Then you get. So I mean, you ask so many people to toss, and out of, you ask 1,000 people to toss. Out of 1,000 people, mostly it will be close to 500 will be getting, they will be getting head. So how many ones are there? How many heads are there? Almost 40. So this is approximately equal to 0.5 or 1 by 2, right? So that is the way you can calculate it. So that is another way. The first way is in terms of its definition. Second is from practice, like, what is the probability that you can get the probability of head, like. So when you, if you repeat this experiment more than 1,000, like 10,000, it will be more close to 500, So from that is from data you can get probability. What is the probability you get tail? You count how many zeros are there in the data and divide by total number. Then you can get what you call the probability. So if I ask a person, he was we asked one person to toss. First time he got a head, second time tail, third time head, like that. So this many times. So he has done 100 times, suppose 100 times he has tossed. What would be the next outcome? So I'm going to put whether the next item will be head or tail, 1 or 0. So statistician will predict is a 1 by 2, because if he predicts 1 by 2, even if he get tail or head, even if he gets 0 or 1, the error will be minimum. If you tell any other number, so the error can be more. If you predict 1, if the head comes, it is perfect, but there is no guarantee. It can, it can be tail, then it will be 0. So what happened and what you predict, the difference will be 1. So if you predict 1 by 2, whatever may happen, the error will be the minimum. That is why statisticians predict this. Okay, this has got a lot of applications. Even though these are all very simple concepts, this has got a lot of things. I'll just talk about distributions also. What are distributions? Okay, what are distributions? I mean, earlier, so I said 10,000 people. I asked them, I gave them 10 to measure. Then I got the probability density kind of thing, this kind of things. Okay, so this is the probability. Like, I divided each number, how many numbers were between 5.9 and 6, and divided by 10,000. So then you get probability. Probability of getting, or the next person going to measure 5.9, the probability is around 0.4, right? That is the probability. Now I want to see, for example, I am going to add a line onto that. I'm going to add a line on that. Just add this. Okay, so I join the central value of all these. Then you get a curve, that is called a probability density function. This shape is normal, because from the center, this side and this side are almost equal. So this kind of probability density function is called what you call, it is called a normal distribution. Errors are normally distributed. So this red line is called the probability density function. If this is x, if this axis is x, this is y, then this function we can say a function of x, f of x, or f of x, or this one, this one. So this is a density function. So this is distribution. How do you get distributions? From the pencil measurement, you can get the distribution. How do you get it? These are the comments actually. So you ask 10,000 people, or the more it is better, or 100 people, you ask them to measure. Then you take the minimum and the maximum, divide that interval into small bins, and count how many are there in the one particular bin. Then divided by the total number. Then you plot it, you will get a curve. Then join the line of the center. Then you get a distribution. This is called distribution. If you do with the measurement, there may be one distribution. If you do something else with some other one, you may get a different figure. It need not be always same. Like, see for example, if the measures are there, the distribution will be something like this. Suppose if you select some other number, it may be different shape. It may be some. Okay, I'll select another color. Okay, if you do something else, it may be something different. It may not be always one. So this is a different distribution. This is a different distribution. So when you do this, you'll get a different distributions. Like now, when I was a student, I had a doubt. My doubt was that there is normal distribution, then Cauchy's, chi-square distribution, T distribution, binomial distribution, so many distributions. Who invented all these distributions? What was the purpose? Usually in colleges or they won't teach these kind of things. No, they only clear your doubt. No, if you ask what is the mean or standard deviation or something like that, they will answer. Apart from that, they won't answer these kind of things. So I had a doubt like this, but these distributions are not invented by somebody. It happens. What does it mean? I'll tell that actually. What does it mean? Suppose you have. I'll tell you two things. I want to tell two things. Okay, so you have one. I asked one student, there were two class of students. So this is 6, maybe this is 6. I asked one set of students. I found a distribution like that. So then I found the distribution the way I got it, like this one, this curve I am plotting. I got one like this. Then I asked other class. So this is class A. They found like this. When I asked the other class, they measured it in a different way. So there is a class B. When I found, I can find like this now. Like this. If I find the mean of this, both the class will give 6 actually. I say there are two groups of people. First group 100 people. I ask them to find and ask them to measure the length actually. Everybody measured. I got 100 numbers. Then I found the distribution. I got this distribution. This one. Then I asked another class of students. They were also 100 students. I asked them, when I made this kind of bin and all, the curve was something like this. See, if you take the mean of both the numbers, you'll get the correct answer. 6. But which class is better class? Which class is better? So the first class is better because from the correct answer, the deviation is less. But in the second one, the deviation is very high actually from this. So that means more students are very careless students in this class B. So this deviation is called a standard deviation. Or sometimes the square is called variance, or the range between the range. So these are the measurements from the mean to the data. How much dispersed the data is around the mean. So this is called measures of dispersion, standard deviation, etc. This will call this standard deviation. How to calculate? There is a formula, but SD of A will give it in R programming. The standard deviation is 0.1, etc. So you got an idea standard deviation. Now I will tell you why do you want to get this kind of distribution. I will tell one more example. I don't know, the time permits to explain everything. I don't know even this is more than what you expect. Anyway, if I don't expect, some beginners may not lose out. Okay, so I'll tell what is the use of all this actually. Suppose I have a distribution. I have a distribution. I have a distribution like this. This is a distribution. So mean is 6. See, I want to find the probability that a person measures between 6.5 and 6.6. So this is 6.6 and 6.5. If I know this function p of x, this is x and this is y. If I know this function, if I integrate from 6.5 to 6.6, this function p of x dx, that is this area, that is this area, this area. If I find this area, that will give the probability, that will give the probability. The probability, I mean, in the sense, if a new person comes, when I ask him to measure, he did not measure, he's going to measure. What is the probability that the new person, the next person is going to measure and tell his measurement is around between 6.5 and 6.6? What is the probability? He's going to measure and tell that it is between 6.9 and 6.5. So if I know this curve, if I can integrate this, that we can get that much is the probability. If the probability is high, the chances are high. If the probability is less, the chances are less actually. So probability less, chances are less. So that is the good thing about this. I'll tell you one more example. You can find your own distribution. If see, we get phone calls now. Some people, when they call, they will just talk and what you call stop. They will just call and stop. But some people will keep on talking. I can find you can find your own distribution. Suppose if you take the if you find your call log, past call in receiving calls. So for the 1 year or 1 month you take, the first call was around 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Next call was 5 minutes. The next call was around 7 minutes. Then you got a call and you talked for the duration of 10 minutes. This is the call duration in the mobile phone. If you take, and the next call, when it was 15 minutes, like, so you can find the average call, right? Average call. If you add all these and divide, then you get average call. Then you can say average call duration. When you talk, the average duration is this, right? So many friends will call us right now. See, we used to say, now we have calls. Oh, when you get a call, oh, this is that particular friend. When he starts, he will never stop. Okay, I'm not going to attend it. And we used to say, no. Some persons will be very matter of fact. They will say, okay, you are fine, I am fine, we'll drop it, stop. Okay, nothing more than that. Okay, some calls are very short duration, some calls are very lengthy one, right? So, I mean, suppose if you find the average like this, if you find the average of your call duration, in the evening, when you are about to have your dinner, when you're about to have your dinner, the phone rings. Then you want to know how long he is going to talk. How do you find? See, no, I'm asking, you are about to have your dinner at night. Then your phone rang and you want to decide whether to attend the call after the dinner or immediately. You want to decide. If the call is going to be very short duration, you will stop it. You will attend it. If the call is going to be very long duration call, you won't attend it. You will attend the call or you will call him back after the dinner only. I mean, can you predict with at least statistically predict with some kind of confidence level, like how long he is going to call? I'll tell you one method. So that is why the distributions are important, right? I'll tell you one method, how you're going to, how can you do that? See? So for that, actually, I'll tell, I ask, you take your call log. You want to predict it, actually. How do you predict it? For that, actually, you take your call log. For the 1 month or 2 months. So when your last call, first call was 6 minutes, next call was 10 minutes, then 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes. If you have around 200 calls for the last 3 months or something like that, then what you can do is, as I said earlier, you find the minimum. Minimum is somewhere around here. The maximum is somewhere around here. Then you small you divide, like Then you find out of all these numbers how many are between them. So you found this many are in between that actually. So the next one is somewhere around here, then somewhere around here. Like that, you can make a histogram. So this just shows the number of calls between these two bins. So you divide a bin. Then this is number of calls out of total. There may be 1,000 calls, maybe, or 900 calls, 1,000. Then this is around 150 call. So now what you do is divide 150 by 900. If this is around 100, divide 100 by 900. Then you can make a plot, right? Then you can make a plot. So I'm going to make that plot. I'm going to make that plot. So what I will do is how do I plot? I will, like that, I will plot actually. Okay, so this is the one. So I mean, in between, this is a minimum, this was the one. So in the first one, this was, I found how many numbers are in between this number and this number, the total number. And total number is divided. Say, for example, this was around 70 numbers are between these two, and there are 70 by 900. Like, so that is the value. That's the probability. Like that. Next one, next one. Then you can join all those things. Like, okay, right. I said join like that. So this is your distribution. I mean, my student, when I was a student, the doubt was that who invented all the distributions? Distribution is not invented by somebody. It is some kind of erasing out of reality, erasing out. So this is your distribution, your call log distribution. So now, if I want to say that you want to take, if it is a long call, I mean, you want to say how then if you know this line means you know the function, p of x, you know the function. That is called the probability density function. Then you want to say whether the call is going to be between 10 and 15 minutes. Then how do you find the probability? If the call is going to be 15, then you will integrate from 10 to 15 p of x d of x. If you integrate, that will be the probability. You will get the probability of the call is going to be between 10 and 15. If you want to know that whether the probability is he is going to call more than 15 minutes, it is the length will be more than 15. How do you know that more than 15? You want to find the probability. See, 15 to infinity p of x d of x. This curve is there. You can integrate always. So if 15 onwards, that means this. If then when you found out this probability, if the probability is very high, like 0.8, then you say you won't attend the call. So if call is going to be more than 15 minutes. So, okay, you'll decide, okay, I'll have the dinner first and then I'll call. If the probability was very less, like 0.1 or something, then you will decide, oh, okay, the chances are very less. He is going to make a call of 15 minutes duration. So it's going to be less. So then you will decide, okay, I can attend the call and then have dinner. So this is the use of distributions. This is the use of distributions. So distributions are not invented by somebody. Distributions arises. There is something called a Garlankin distribution. You might have heard of it. Garlankin was an electrical engineer. Now we have automated exchanges. But long back, there was only manual exchange. So it was not automated. Like, if you want to call somebody, suppose if you want to make a within the exchange, you can call anybody. Like, if you want to make a trunk call, if you want to make from Trivandrum, if you want to make a call to Delhi, earlier you have to call the exchange people and tell, I want to book a trunk call to Delhi. That is manual, no? You have wire and you have to plug it out and plug into the Delhi socket. Then only you can make call. So after 1 hour or so, they will call you back and say, now you can call. Because there are so many people. One person may say, I want to make a call to Hyderabad. So he'll plug it out and plug into the Hyderabad socket. Then if you plug out and put in the Delhi socket, and if there are limited sockets like that, actually, the thing. So you cannot make it. So you have to wait. But when people are asked to wait, they may not call. You lose, as a company, you lose calls. So Garlankin was an electrical engineer, I mean, what he thought, he was working in a telephone exchange in Germany. So at that time, he was trying to find out the distribution. What would be the duration of this call? How long it will be busy? What is the queue length of calling this? Then what he did was that what else did that he measured all the length, duration, and when he was asked to measure, then he can find a distribution. No? When he found a distribution, it was a different type. The shape is not of the existing one, it's a new one. So that distribution is known after his name. It's called the Gallager distribution. And there are conditions. Probability one means something. Okay, let it be of any length, then the probability must be one. No, I'm going to get a call. I'm say, okay, what is the probability that the next call is of any duration? It can be 0, any duration. What is the probability that it can be of any duration? That is sure. No, it will happen. It will be of some duration. So in that case, the total probability must be 1. So minus infinity to plus infinity p of x d of x gives me 1. So there are conditions. Usually when people find a distribution, this is how you calculate it. Manually you can calculate it. That is why I want to say manually you can, or when you have data you can calculate it. Otherwise you can calculate from the theoretical concept. This is all about distributions. Have I got time to speak on correlation and this one? Otherwise I can stop this. I can talk on the other stuff in some other day, like if it is too boring. Let me get some feedback. Like I talked about the basic concepts.
Please go ahead, sir.
How can we check? One question was that how can we check causal relationship between variables? Causal relationship we can get only from physical reality, from the domain knowledge. I mean, with the statistics, I mean, in the sense, if correlation is there, it does not mean that there is causation. If causation is there, if one is causing something else, then there will be correlation. If something is, if A is or X is causing something, if you have some kind of infection causes temperature. So there will be a correlation, infection and temperature. Because of infection, temperature will be there, it's a cause. But correlation, if there is correlation, means this is the cause of this, that we cannot make sure, right? That we cannot make sure by statistics. You have to get from the other reality, whether physically there is any relation, or from the physics of the problem. I'll tell you one professor found actually there was some data he took from Australia and some data he took from South Africa. Then he found the correlation. The correlation was very high. But it does not mean that something happened in Australia is because of something happened in South Africa. Like, no? So correlation, not causation. That is one thing about it. What is discussed the data science in the last session? So sir, directly start with the statistics. Already there. Okay. Some time back. Anyway, okay. So okay, I'll talk. Many people say go ahead. So I'll talk a little bit about causation and correlation and causation, like, you know, correlation and regression. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. What is correlation? Correlation means certain things are related. So in mathematics, we have something called a function. X or y is a function of x. Y is a function of x. Then usually you have y is equal to 4x square plus 2x plus 7 or something like that. Then you plot it. This is x-axis. This is y-axis. You have a curve. This is f of x. F of x. Y is equal to f of x, like curve. So this is a perfect relation. You know, if you know x equal to 5, then you can put x here, x square 25, 4 times. Then here you will exactly get y. So it is sure you can find the y. But in reality, in actual practice, you won't get a perfect relation like this. Actually, many times you won't get a perfect relation. Sometimes, say for example, height and weight. If you take height and weight, I asked one person, his height is 150 centimeter, weight is around 50. this is weight, this is height. Okay, this weight and this height. I asked another person. His height is 148 centimeter, weight is around 49. Then I asked another person 160, but the weight is even less actually, like that. Okay, so then I can plot it. This instead of x, I will say height. This axis is weight. So I will go like first number. I will go like this 1, 2, 3, etc. Suppose somewhere around 150. This is 150. So here this is 50. This is 50. So I will make a mark here. I will have a data here. This is 150, 50, 150, this point. I can make other point now. So I will keep on like this. I'll want all the data like this. Then if you look at it, as the height increases, weight also increases. Mathematician doesn't like this. So for mathematics, if it is increases, it should be exactly on a line. Exactly on a line. That is what mathematicians like. But in reality, there won't be an exact relation. But there is a relation. There is a relation. If you look at it, you see as the height increases, weight also increases. But it is not true. But in one case, it is height is very high. Height is 160, somewhere around here. Or let me say it is here. But the weight is much less actually. Oh, so 160, weight is much less, 45 only, something like that. So that can also happen. But generally, there the data is around a line. So if I make a line like this, line like this, line like this. So any line, I mean, if this is x-axis, okay, this is x-axis, this is y-axis. If there is a line, the equation of a line is mx plus c. C is this length, that is c. M is the slope. M is the slope. M is the slope, right? So y is equal to mx plus c. So you want if it is a line, you may say 5x plus 7. So it is hitting at 7 and the slope is 5. Like that, can I get an equation here? Can I get an equation here? W is equal to sum m into h plus c. So this line has got this one. If there is no correlation, what happens is it would be something like this. I'll write here. If there is no correlation, I put height here, weight here. If data is all around, almost everywhere. It is not around a line, almost everywhere. It's not on a line. It is there around everywhere. Then there is no correlation. Because suppose if data is all around, somewhere here, everywhere data is there. Right? See here. So if a person's height is 150, his weight can be this value 10, it can be 10 kg, it can be 15 kg, it can be, so you cannot make a relation out of it. When there is no relation, when there is no relation, all the data will be all around. The data will be all around. If there are relation, the data will be 10 to somewhere around. If data is somewhere around, it is called correlation. In this case, there is no correlation. Just a minute. In this case, there is no correlation, but there is no correlation here. But here there is a correlation data is around. Right? You got it. If it is like this, if it is exactly on a line, it is perfect correlation. So if you find the correlation between, in this case, if you find the correlation between, in this case, it will be 1, because all the data are in the same range. All the data is from the same range, it is 1. But in this case, here everything is in one line. But here the data is somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here. Data is slightly around here. So if all the data are in the same, I'll draw this again. If all the data is in the same direction, then in the straight line, this is the line, this is the line. If data is in the same direction, or exactly on the same direction, Okay, then we say that the correlation is 1. Here correlation is 1 because all the data points are the same line. If you know height exactly, you can predict this one. But if in this case, say for example 140, if the height is 140, 140 somewhere around here, 140. So I will predict the height is this actually. So this 140 and this. I will say it is 45 kg. I'll predict, but it will be somewhere around because the data can be around here. This much errors can happen, like this much error can happen. So you can approximately predict, but you cannot predict exactly. You cannot predict exactly. 1 minute, sorry. Okay, so you cannot predict exactly, but with a certain accuracy you can predict if the data is around here. So the correlation, maximum correlation is 1, means all the data is around in the same line. If all complete, if it is there, the correlation is 0. Usually correlation in between that. Then finding this line is called finding this line. In this case, if data is somewhere around here, then I want to find the line so that the difference between the data, the difference between the data is the minimum. I can draw several lines. I can draw a line here. Then the difference is much high. But this line, the advantage of this line is that this line is that then the error is minimum. Error means total difference from the total difference with this line, the total difference from the data point and the line is the minimum. Finding that line is called regression. Okay, so I'll show some examples. I'll definitely show some examples. So finding this line is called a regression. What is the advantage of finding that line? Suppose if I have data like this, data like this, okay. So if I find this line, so that this is 140. This is 140. There was no data with 140, and the first person was 55, 50, like that. In the measurement, there was no one had a 150 centimeter height, and so I cannot predict. So if I can predict, I'll go here and predict what will be. If it is 40, 57 or something, I will say that is that's advantage of prediction. Okay, I'll show some example that is better. Okay. Is around. Okay, I will say y is equal to 1:10. Sorry, x equal to 1:10. 1:10 means these are the values of x. 1, 2, 3, etc. 10. Y is equal to x plus, I'll add some random number. Okay, so when I plot x comma y, the data is like this. Hope you can see. This is around this value. If y is equal to x, then the plot will be like this, exactly on the same line. X and y are the same. This is perfect. So the function is y is equal to x. If I say y is equal to x plus 10, then if I plot, it will be like this actually. I'll reduce this size. Okay, this is the figure. This is the figure. The line is, so it hit at us at 1 actually. 10. So that is the line. But if I add x plus then 10 plus a bit of normal, I'm a bit shake around actually. 10 into 0.2. Okay. So I put, see here again the lines are surround this one. Then I want to find the line between, or even I can find the correlation. In R5 to find the correlation, this is equal to, this is how it, so this is 0.8. 0.8, the correlation is 0.9, 0.9. If I add a bit more correlation, a bit more random number, see, now if I plot it, see, more scattered, then the correlation, if I found, it is 0.9. If I add more random number, like, into 2, sorry, into 2, more 0.7, if correlation has become less, if I plot it, see, now more scattered. If I multiply with some 10 or something, then plot actually. See, now data is all around. I can add more data. I mean, this data is all around. Then the correlation, if you find, correlation is very less, 0.1 only. So that is what I wanted to say. When there are more scattering, the correlation is less. Then if there is correlation, then you can find. When it is less correlated, the correlation is high, then you plot 5, and it's almost on a line. Now, how do you find the regression? The line passing through this, that is in mathematics, it is called curve fitting. The best line, so that when I want to find so that the distance between line and the point must be the minimum. For that, this I'm using in R. Okay, this is equal to, I'm using y tilde x. This is a command in R. That is a different story. I mean, I'm not going to that AB line. Thus, okay, so I found the line. This is called a regression. So what is the advantage? Means even if you know this one, even if you know there is no data point about 5.5, 6.5, but still you can predict. So the prediction will be somewhere around. Finding this line is called a regression. So, but when you find a regression, to ask to find a regression, it will find. But there is no point in finding regression. Like, if I say something like this, see, the data is all around, or even more than that, I'll make more data. X equal to 1:100, Y make something. See, the data is all around. But even if you ask the software to find the regression, it will find the regression. So it will die. Does this line make any sense? No. This data is scattered all around. When the data is scattered all around, the correlation is very less. When the correlation is very less, there is no point in finding regression. But when you put it in the software will find a line, but that line does not make sense. That is why I was asked to talk about the fundamentals of statistics, the basics of statistics. Why the statistics important is that, why the fundamental concepts are important is that, otherwise, if you don't know the concept, if you are asked to find a regression, the software will do. Here, the line is there, the software will find the line, but that line does not make any sense. Even if the 60, the prediction can be somewhere around this, there is a huge difference. It can be 0, it can be 300, it can be all around. So that does not make any sense of prediction. So better to know this. And sometimes the line shape will be in the reverse direction. Then it is called negatively correlated. Okay, I'll by 10 minus x. Okay, let me check. Plot x comma y. Okay, so sometimes the line is somewhere. So this is almost in a line. As x increases, y decreases. In that sense, if you find the correlation of x comma y, it is negative minus 1, negative number. So correlation is always between -1, -1, and +1. -1 means, see, for example, I'll make, see, this kind, when the data is almost increasing, if this is X, this is Y, as X increases, Y also increases, then correlation will be positive. Sometimes it will be like this, the data will be somewhere around like this. As X increases, Y decreases. See, as it goes, Y is decreasing. Then correlation will be negative. Anyway, the correlation will be maximum 1 and minimum -1. If the correlation is between -1 and 0, it is negatively correlated, and it is increasing. Say, for example, study hours and percentage of marks. If the study hours increases, percentage of marks will also increases. And absence of the class, how much percentage percentage of absence in the class. When the percentage of absence increases, the percentage of mark will decrease. So that kind of, it is called a negatively correlated. So this is what called correlation. And one question I got from your chat is that, I made a statement like, even if correlation is there, it doesn't mean that this is the cause of the other one. Correlation does not mean causation. But causation implies correlation. When causation is a correlation will be there, but it is not the other way around. Like, you cannot make always that when correlation is a causation. If you want to find causation, you have to find the system. You have to analyze the system. You have to see whether there is any physical relation between these two. That's the only way you can find out. I think I can stop somewhere here. Otherwise, I have to talk about the principal component analysis, factor analysis, etc. Maybe that is another time. Or even testing hypo is also a different story. Like, it's a totally different thing. Hypothesis testing and dimensionality reduction. Why do you want to reduce dimensionality? What is the mathematics behind it? In principal component analysis and dimensionality reduction, you need to know the eigenvectors and eigenvalues, etc. What is the meaning? Little bit about a linear algebra. Maybe I can talk some other time, I think. Okay, it's almost 1.5 hours. You may get more than 1.5 hours. You may get bored. If you have some doubts or something, we will discuss. You can unmute your mic, and if you have any question, you can talk, and we will discuss. That is what I think. Yeah, statistic hypothesis testing. There are standard methods. In terms of statistical procedure, like t-test, student t-test, and all, it is well settled. Settled in the sense there is a perfect statistical theory behind it. There is no problem. The theory behind is correct. There is nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that every statistical prediction, you cannot have 100% accuracy. In statistical prediction, you have more confidence. That is what. See, in the sense that what about a precise practice like p-hash? Practice like a p-hacking. P-hacking, the probability p-value, no? I think that is a p-value. In the exact term, I am not familiar with the p-hacking. The exact term, I am not familiar. But p-value, if you get high p-value, the decision is based on that, actually. The general statement I can make is that you can never make a perfect prediction, or 100% prediction with the statistics. It's not possible. Then you need to get probability 1. That will never happen. You see, for example, the probability when you found it was 0.99. But the next time it need not happen that. With a small probability, it can happen the other one also. Like, even if, see, for example, winning a lottery, you sell 1 lakh lotteries, people are taking 1 lakh lotteries, out of which, what is the probability that the ticket I took, get the first prize? The probability is 1 by 1 lakh. What is the probability that I may not get the lottery? Is very high, no? It is 9999 by 1 lakh. So that probability is very, very high. But the probability of winning the lottery is 0.000, very small. But I may get, somebody would get, no? Somebody would get. So you cannot make perfect accuracy with this one, but on an average, these predictions are correct. That is the importance of statistics. Then there is a little bit about the philosophy behind the statistics. Actually, I mean, there is something called random experiment whose outcome cannot be predicted and all. But I mean, in classical mechanics, we believe that cause and effect, everything is cause and effect. Then can there be any something called random experiment? There are questions like that. Actually, that's a bit different scenario, like a different scenario. Okay, if what I, yeah, thank you. So if you have something in something which we want to talk about, what I have talked, we can discuss. Testing, hypothesis testing, and dimensionality reduction, factor analysis. There is something called the factor analysis, confirmatory factor analysis, exploratory factor analysis, and confirmatory factors, and structural regression modeling. And how can you do that in our program, our package? And then we can discuss in a different. I think this is enough. Too much is not good for anything, no? If you have any comments, even most of you are in industry, I think you have better practical knowledge. If you want to share something, add something onto what I said, or if you want to correct something on what I said, if you know something better than this, it is welcome, because that will be useful for others also. Everybody attending this talk may not be of the same level, like, no? I mean, if you want to talk something, you can talk. The base of SVM is correlation or curve fitting, actually. I mean, you cannot say curve fitting or correlation. It's a bit different, actually. So, I mean, one way it is curve fitting, and it is also correlation. If there is no correlation at all, then you won't get support vector. But the correlation is usually done with the linear correlations. But many a times the correlations are not linear. That's the support vector machines are coming under machine learning techniques. That's a different story. But in general, philosophically, it is a bit of curve fitting. Can we expect a continuation of this class? I mean, if you are interested, I can give some talk some other time. If you are interested, it depends upon your interest. I'm happy to discuss on this. Yeah, no problem. We can talk something some other day. Some after 1 week or 2 weeks or something, we can talk. We can decide something. The topic, either hypothesis testing or regression or factor analysis or this. First to decide that topic, I'll talk on that. 1 hour talk is reasonably good. Talking too much may not be good. I mean, many times I am more interested on the concept behind it, because the packages are there. Once you know the concept, you can easily do, no? And the good thing for me, like, I'm basically a mathematician. I read mathematics for my MSc degree, and theoretical statistics was my elective paper. Stochastic process, theoretical this and another elective paper. Basically a mathematician, but did PhD with a chemical engineer, and I'm more into computational mathematics, computational science. Many experiment you go and do the experiment in the wet lab. Instead of that, you can model and predict. That is what I was doing in my PhD. Then I did a postdoc in one chemical engineering department in Monash, Australia. Then I was working in a biophysics department in South Korea. It was a biophysics department. Now I am in future studies department, because it's a bit mixed. But very well, you do this kind of computation. Computation has got a lot of power. And the basis of all this is mathematics. Even if you say that it is statistics, behind it is mathematics. Right now, you need to have the mathematical concepts. I mean, it's not very difficult. Why I personally think, as students, you were students, I was also a student. The main problem is the teachers. They will simply repeat the definition of something. They don't explain the concepts now. I think we get when you hear mathematics, we always have feeling that it's a bit difficult. There is a saying, you know, when Stephen Hawking was asked, he says in an audience, if you introduce one equation, you lose 10 from the audience. If you introduce one equation, you lose 10 from the audience. Nobody likes mathematics. Why? I personally think it's because we teachers are teaching mathematics in a dull way. Like every equation, there is a story behind. Every equation, there is a story behind. Every equation has a concept. I mean, if somebody says quantum mechanics is difficult, I can understand it should be difficult. Why mathematics is difficult? Mathematics is about numbers, some few numbers. It should not be difficult. because the way it is being taught, the way it is represented, that's a problem. Like, I mean, equations are just a representation of some physical reality, like not more than that. Yeah, sure. So somebody is telling that it was good. I mean, thank you for your interest, and happy that this was useful to you. It is very happy that it is useful. If you have make some comments and all, I mean, if you want to share your knowledge also, it's okay. Like, because in the audience somebody may be very good in something and others may not. Even what I said, if you want to correct something or add comments to that, you can do that. Thank you Shilpa. Thank you Shivaraj. Thank you Anjana. Thank you Sundar. Thank you Wasi, Sanila, and all others. Thank you Abhisha. You were there, no, Abhisha?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Hello, sir. This is Smita. So initially I was like very confused how I'm going to hear a statistics session. So you're such a nice person to listen to, and it was a very detailed and informative session, sir. It was great. Thanks for spending your time with us and giving such a great information with us. I think many people have pinged me for next session. So we'll try to get sometime after Onam, based on I'll talk to Prem and just find some time for that. And we have couple of data science series sessions coming up, so we'll talk about that and finalize. Hello.
Yeah, please. If anybody wants to discuss, you can unmute the mic and talk. There's no problem.
Sir, is it audible?
Please go ahead. എന്തെങ്കിലും പറയാനുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പറയാം. എന്തെങ്കിലും പറയാനുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇതിന്റെ കൂടെ ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് നല്ലതാണ്. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറയാനുള്ളത്.
Sir, we can't hear you.
നിങ്ങൾ പലരും നല്ലൊരു ശതമാനം ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയിലൊക്കെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നവരാണ്. അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ഐഡിയ കാണും. പറയൂ.
Hello, sir. Thank you, sir. Hello.
കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
He is not able to hear us, it seems. Hello, sir.
Yeah, കേൾക്കാം പറഞ്ഞോളൂ.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody started. Please go ahead, Asha.
I can hear you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please be a bit more louder.
Is there any open questions or shall we wind up? Hello, team. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. I can hear.
Okay, sir. Thanks for the wonderful session. I think it was very informative and it was very useful. I think most of us want to learn data science, but stuck at the point where we read about the concept of data mining and statistics. So this will be very interesting, and I didn't see a simpler explanation of correlation before. It was very simple and very informative. Thanks a lot. I already got multiple requests to call you again for the next session. So we'll plan some session soon on data science, and we'll have one more session on some of the areas related to statistics. Thanks a lot, team, to join on a Sunday. If you want to say something to sir, you can go ahead.
Yeah, actually ഞാനും വേണം താങ്ക്സ് പറയാൻ. കാരണം പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് മാത്തമാറ്റിക്സും സ്റ്റാറ്റിസ്റ്റിക്കൽ കൺസെപ്റ്റും ഇതുപോലെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് പിന്നെ ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് നോ ഹൂ ഈസ് ഗോയിങ് ടു ലിസൺ. ഇപ്പോൾ 1 മണിക്കൂർ എന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ട് 1-2 മണിക്കൂറിനടുത്തോളം നിങ്ങൾ കേട്ടോണ്ടിരുന്നു. അതിൻ്റെ ആ ക്ഷമയ്ക്ക് ഞാൻ പ്രത്യേകം അങ്ങോട്ട് നന്ദി പറയുകയാണ്. മാത്തമാറ്റിക്സ് പറയാമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആരെങ്കിലും കേട്ടോണ്ടിരുന്ന എഴുന്നേറ്റ് പൊക്കളെ അല്ലേ? നോബഡി ലൈക്സ് മാത്തമാറ്റിക്സ് ബിക്കോസ് ഓഫ് ഓൾ ദ ഇക്വേഷൻസ് ദ തിങ്. ദ മെയിൻ പ്രോബ്ലം ഈസ് വിത്ത് ദ വേ വി ടീച്ച് ആക്ച്വലി. Math, every equation, if you write an equation, does not make anything, something new to the world or anything. ഈ ലോകത്ത് കാണുന്ന അതേ കാര്യം നമ്മൾ ഇക്വേഷൻ സൗകര്യത്തിന് വേണ്ടി എഴുതുന്നുള്ളതേ ഉള്ളൂ. കൂടുതലും ഞാൻ വിചാരിക്കുന്നത് മാത്തമാറ്റിക്സ് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നതിലുള്ള പ്രശ്നമാണെന്നോ. നമ്മൾ ഡെഫിനേഷൻ അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ പറയും. ഞാനൊരു സിമ്പിൾ എക്സാമ്പിൾ പറയാം. 25ന്റെ റൂട്ട് 5 ആണ് അല്ലേ? 16ന്റെ റൂട്ട് 4 ആണ്. 9ന്റെ റൂട്ട് 3 -16 റൂട്ട് എത്ര? -16 റൂട്ട് എത്ര? -25 റൂട്ട് എത്ര? അതില്ല. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ പറയും അതുകൊണ്ട് -1 റൂട്ടില്ല, അതിന് I എന്ന് വെച്ചു, ഇമാജിനറി നമ്പർ. -1 റൂട്ടില്ല, I ഇമാജിനറി നമ്പർ. നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെയാണ് സാധാരണ ടീച്ചേഴ്സ് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്? I ഒരു ഇമാജിനറി നമ്പറാണ്. അപ്പോൾ 3I അതൊരു ഇമാജിനറി നമ്പർ. ഒരു റിയൽ പാർട്ടും കൂടെ ചേർന്നാൽ കോംപ്ലക്സ് നമ്പർ ഉണ്ടാവും. A + IB, 3 + 2I, 5 + 7I. ഈ നമ്പർ പറഞ്ഞാൽ കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഉടനെ ടീച്ചേഴ്സ് നമ്മളെ അങ്ങ് തിയറം ആഫ്റ്റർ തിയറം, കോഷി-റൈമൻ കണ്ടീഷൻ, ദിസ് കണ്ടീഷൻ, ഒരു 250 തിയറം എഴുതും. പക്ഷെ നമ്മുടെ ഡൗട്ട് എന്താണ്? -16 റൂട്ടില്ല, -1 റൂട്ടില്ല, പിന്നെ എന്തിന് ഇത്രയും തിയറം? നമ്മൾ ഇത്രയും തിയറം എഴുതി അതിന് റൂട്ട് കിട്ടണ്ടേ? ഇനി കിട്ടുകയില്ല, പിന്നെ എന്തിന് തിയറം? അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ആരും ചോദിക്കാറുമില്ല, ഒരു ടീച്ചേഴ്സും പറയാറുമില്ല. അവർ കാഷി-റൈമൻ കണ്ടീഷൻ്റെ ഇത് പ്ലസ് ആണോ മൈനസ് ആണോ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കാൻ അവർ പറഞ്ഞുതരും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്തിനാ കണ്ടീഷൻ ഈ ടേം എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ പറഞ്ഞുതരും. പക്ഷേ എന്തിനാണ് ഇത്, അത് നമ്മൾ ചിന്തിക്കാറില്ല. നമ്മൾ അവിടെ തുടങ്ങണം. ഇത് ഞാൻ ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ പറഞ്ഞതാണ്, അവിടെ തുടങ്ങണം. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു നമ്പറിനെ മൾട്ടിപ്ലൈ ചെയ്യുന്നത് തന്നെ 2 × 3 എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ 2നെ 3 ടൈംസ് ആഡ് ചെയ്യണം, അല്ലേ? 2 × 7/5 എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ 2നെ എത്ര പ്രാവശ്യം ആഡ് ചെയ്യണം? അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞാൽ ന്യൂമറേറ്റർ മൾട്ടിപ്ലൈ ആണ്, ഡിനോമിനേറ്റർ മൾട്ടിപ്ലൈ. എന്തിനങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുന്നത്? അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യാതിരുന്നൂടെ? പിന്നെ ഇൻറ്റിജർ ആണെങ്കിൽ 2 × 3 വെച്ചാൽ 2നെ 3 ടൈംസ് ആഡ് ചെയ്യണം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇത് വരും. അപ്പം നമ്മൾ അങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞു, നമ്മളും അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുന്നു. എന്തിനങ്ങനെ ചോദിച്ചാൽ നമുക്ക് പറഞ്ഞവർക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു. അതാണ് ഈ മാത്തമെറ്റിക്സിന്റെ കുഴപ്പം. നമ്മൾ അതിനൊരു കാരണമുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ ഒരു കാരണം മാത്തമെറ്റിക്സ് ഇത് പറയാത്തതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മറ്റ് സബ്ജക്റ്റൊക്കെ റീസെന്റ് ഈ അടുത്ത കാലത്തുണ്ടാകാണ്. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ വളരെ പഴയതാണ്. അത് ആൾറെഡി പറഞ്ഞ് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാവുന്ന ഒരു അസംസക്ക് ഒരു ടെക്സ്റ്റിലും ഒന്നും കാണില്ല. എല്ലാത്തിലും ഒരു ഡെഫിനിഷൻ തുടങ്ങും, പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്ത് തുടങ്ങും. എന്തിനാ ഡെഫിനിഷൻ വെച്ചു എന്നൊക്കെ ചോദിച്ച പ്രശ്നമാണ്. അതാണ് ഈ മാത്തമെറ്റിക്സ് ഡള്ളായി പോകുന്നത്. ഈ കൺസെപ്റ്റ് നമ്മൾ അറിയണം. ഇത് വളരെ ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ഒന്നല്ല. സ്റ്റാറ്റിസ്റ്റിക്കൽ കൺസെപ്റ്റ് വളരെ സിമ്പിളാണ്. ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ സ്റ്റാറ്റിസ്റ്റിക്സിന് ഈ ഡെഫിനിഷനും പ്രോബബിലിറ്റിയും വന്നത് റോബർട്ട് ബ്രൗൺ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ബോട്ടണിസ്റ്റ് ബ്രൗണിയൻ മോഷൻ കണ്ടെത്തിയതിനു ശേഷമാണ് ഈ സ്റ്റാറ്റിസ്റ്റിക്സ് വെച്ചത്. ശരിക്കും സ്റ്റാറ്റിസ്റ്റിക്സ് ഒന്നും ഇല്ല, കാരണം പ്രോബബിലിറ്റി ഒന്നും ഇല്ല. ലോകത്ത് കാസ് ആൻഡ് എഫക്റ്റ്, നമ്മൾ ക്ലാസിക്കൽ മെക്കാനിക്സ്, ന്യൂട്ടൺ പറയുന്നത് നമ്മൾ മെക്കാനിക്സ് ഒന്നിനൊരു കാസ് ഉണ്ട്, ആ കാസ് അനുസരിച്ച് എഫക്റ്റ് വരും. അത് പ്രെഡിക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റണം. പാരാസെറ്റമോൾ കഴിച്ചാൽ പനി കുറയും, ലൈറ്റ് ഇട്ടാൽ സ്വിച്ച് ഇട്ടാൽ ലൈറ്റ് കത്തും. അപ്പോൾ അത് കത്തും ഇല്ലേ, അങ്ങനെ ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടാവും. ഒരു കാസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിനൊരു എഫക്റ്റ് വേണ്ടേ? അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ആ കാസ് കറക്റ്റായിട്ട് അറിഞ്ഞാൽ എഫക്റ്റ് പ്രഡിക്കണ്ടേ? പിന്നെ എങ്ങനെ ഈ റാൻഡം എക്സ്പെരിമെന്റ് സ്റ്റാറ്റിസ്റ്റിക്സ് ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത് തന്നെ ഹൂസ് ഔട്ട്കം കനോട്ട് ബി പ്രഡിക്റ്റഡ് എന്നാണ്. കനോട്ട് ബി പ്രഡിക്റ്റഡ്. അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു എക്സ്പെരിമെന്റ് ലോകത്തുണ്ടോ? അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സ്റ്റൊക്കാസ്റ്റിക് സിസ്റ്റം ഉണ്ടോ പ്രഡിക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റാത്തത്? എങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ അത് ഫിസിക്സിനെതിരാണ്. ഫിസിക്സ് പറയുന്നത് എല്ലാം ക്ലാസിക്കൽ മെക്കാനിക്സ് എല്ലാമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഇതിൽ പറയും അതിന് ഡിറ്റർമിനിസ്റ്റിക് സിസ്റ്റം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇത് സ്റ്റൊക്കാസ്റ്റിക് സിസ്റ്റം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പ്രഡിക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്നാണ്. പ്രഡിക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റണം, ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ സയൻസിനെതിരാണത്. പക്ഷെ അപ്പോൾ ഇതിനൊക്കെ പിന്നിലൊരു കാര്യമുണ്ട്. ഇങ്ങനത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങളും ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് നമ്മൾ റൈസ് ചെയ്യണം. ഇങ്ങനത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഉത്തരം കണ്ടെത്തണം. ഒരു ഭാഗ്യമുള്ളതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ ജനറേഷനും, ഞങ്ങളുടെ കാലത്ത് ഇതുപോലെ ഇപ്പം -1 റൂട്ടില്ല എന്തിന് ഇക്വേഷൻ വെച്ചാൽ ഏത് പുസ്തകത്തിൽ നോക്കിയാൽ ഉത്തരം കിട്ടും? ഒരു പുസ്തകത്തിനും കാണില്ല. ഇനി ഏത് പുസ്തകത്തിൻ്റെ ഏത് പേജിലുണ്ട്, എത്ര പുസ്തകം നമ്മൾ റെഫർ ചെയ്യും? വലിയ പ്രയാസമാണ്. പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പം ഗൂഗിളിൽ ചെന്നിട്ട് ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ ടു കോംപ്ലക്സ് നമ്പേഴ്സ് എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ എങ്ങനെ തുടങ്ങി, എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് അങ്ങനെ തിയറൊക്കെ പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്ത്, ഇതിൻ്റെ ഉപയോഗം എന്താണ്, എന്തെങ്കിലും കാരണം കാണുമല്ലോ, ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ എല്ലാവരും ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത് എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്. സോ നൗ വി ആർ ഇൻ എ വെരി ബെറ്റർ പൊസിഷൻ. നമുക്ക് എല്ലാത്തിനും കാരണം അപ്പോഴും കിട്ടും, അതിന് ഇതെല്ലാം കിട്ടും. അതാണ് ഇത് നല്ല വശം. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഗൂഗിൾ ഈസ് ഗോഡ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ കിട്ടും. നമ്മൾ ആ കൺസെപ്റ്റ് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയപ്പോൾ ദീസ് ആർ സിമ്പിൾ തിങ്, വി ക്യാൻ ഡു ഗ്രേറ്റ് മെനി തിങ്സ്. പർട്ടിക്കുലർലി ഇൻ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി യു ഡോണ്ട് ഹാവ് ടു ഹാവ് വെരി ഇൻ-ഡെപ്ത് നോളജ് ഇൻ ദിസ്. Even with the minimum knowledge, we can do a lot of things. The same correlation can be applied in very many different ways, very many different situations, very different projects. So അത് വളരെ സിമ്പിളാണ്. അപ്പോൾ കാര്യം മാത്രം അറിഞ്ഞാൽ മതി. ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച് ഫോർ യുവർ പേഷ്യൻസ്. ഇത്രയും നേരം ക്ഷമയോടെ ഇരുന്നതിന് കേട്ടോണ്ടിരിക്കാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈസി അല്ല. താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച്.
സാറിനോട് ആർക്കെങ്കിലും നല്ല വാക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും പറയുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പറയാം കേട്ടോ. സാർ നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടി വന്നതാ.
Thank you so much, sir. So, sir പറഞ്ഞ സെയിം റീസൺസ് ആണ് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ട് തോന്നിയതും. So there are a lot of content out there with lot of knowledge, lot of courses, etc. പക്ഷേ if we have to find the reason for something or a simple way of explaining stuff, it's really difficult. Even if we have Google out there, after so many searches, it's tough to find all these things. And somebody who is open to inputs and opinions, that's really rare to find. So we really enjoy that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Then we can wind up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Possibly we will
Have a great day.
later.
Have a week.
Thank you very much. Thank you every one of you, and thank you for the organizers also for inviting me. Thank you.
And thanks, Prem, for bringing him.
Okay. Thank you, Prem. Prem was my PhD student. Thank you, Prem.
Okay then, bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, logging off.
Okay, sir. Bye.